Page 7. In the Buddha's Dharma and Sangha, until enlightened I seek refuge, through merit from giving and the rest. To aid all may I become Buddha. In the Buddha's Dharma and Sangha, until enlightened I seek refuge, through merit from giving and the rest. To aid all may I become Buddha. In the Buddha's Dharma and Sangha, until enlightened I seek refuge, through merit from giving and the rest. To aid all may I become Buddha. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and its causes. May all sentient beings never be parted from sorrowless bliss. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from bias, attachment, and hatred. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent, destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, who got to know of the world, teacher of human beings, to you the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent, destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer of the Shaka clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent, destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, who got to know of the world, supreme God of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent, destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer of the Shaka clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent, destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, who got to know the world, supreme God of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent, destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer of the Shaka clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. When, O supreme among humans, you were born on this earth, you paced out 7 strides and said, I am supreme in this world. To you who were wise men I prostrate. With pure bodies formed supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, named the places in the 3 worlds, winner of the best Lord, to you I prostrate. With flaming sun's face like spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. Dust free like you, the 3 worlds are not, incomparably wise one, to you I prostrate. The Savior having great compassion, the Founder having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean. To you the one gone to thusness I prostrate. The purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime pure reality. To the Dharma that pacifies I prostrate. Those who are liberated and who also show the path to liberation, His holy field qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts. To you, the sublime community intending virtue, I prostrate. Homage to the Supreme Buddha, homage to the Dharma refuge, homage to the great Sangha, to all 3 ever devout homage, to all worthy of respect, bowing with bodies as many as all realms, atoms, and all aspects, with supreme faith I pay homage. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions, subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a mirage, the flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all seeing, subdue the flow of false, and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. From Tushita's hundreds of gods, protectors far, to tip of this fresh, pure water, deep curd like cloud, Olo Samdrapa, Dharma's omniscient king, pray come to this place with your disciples, in space ahead on by enthroned lotus emblem, venerable Guru, smile brightly with delight. Pray stay hundreds of eons to spread doctrine as supreme merit. Feel for my mega faith. Your wisdom I seize, full range of knowables. Your eloquent speech adorns fortunate ears. Your beauteous body, famed glory outstanding. Homage to you, worthwhile to think of, hear and see. Pleasant offerings of water, various flowers, fragrant incense, light perfume, and so on. Oceans of offerings set out and envisioned, offered up to you, supreme field of merit. Not virtue committed with body, speech, and mind, which I have heaped up since beginningless time, especially what has contradicted three vows. Each I confess from my heart with strong regret. In time of strife you strove to learn and practice, shunned eight mundane concerns, made life essence full. O protector from depths of our hearts, we rejoice in your powerful great deed. Venerable Gurus from love and wisdom, clouds densely massed in your Dharma Kaya sky, pray loose a rain of vast profound Dharma on fields of disciples just as needed. May whatever virtue that I here gather bring benefit to all beings and doctrine, and may it make venerable Tsongkhapa essential teaching specially shine forever. Migbe sewe ter chen chen reis, dreame kempe wang po jam pelyam, du kung malu jom se song weda, gong chen ke pe sugyen Tsongkhapa, lo sang dra pe shabla so waden. O glorious and precious root Guru, pray take seat of lotus on my crown, caring for me with your great kindness. Bestow attainments of body, speech, and mind. O glorious and precious root Guru, pray take seat of lotus at my heart, caring for me with your great kindness. Bestow attainments common and supreme. O glorious and precious root Guru, pray take seat of lotus at my heart, caring for me with your great kindness, until supreme awakening remains steadfast. Homage to the exalted three jewels. Thus have I heard at one time the Blessed One was dwelling in Rajagriha and Bochamath, together with the great assembly of monks and the great assembly of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One was absorbed in the concentration of the countless aspects of phenomenon called profound illumination. At that very time, the superior of Vishara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, was looking perfectly at the practice of profound perfection of wisdom, perfectly looking at the emptiness of inherent existence of the five aggregates also. Then through the power of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said to the superior of Vishara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, How should a child go any astray who wishes to engage the practice of profound? Thus he spoke, and the superior Shara the Bodhisattva, the great being, replied to the venerable Shariputra as follows. Shariputra, whichever son or daughter of the lineage wish to engage the practice of profound perfection of wisdom, should subsequently look perfectly and correctly at the essence of the form is empty, emptiness is form, emptiness is not other than form is not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, like this, all phenomena are empty of characteristics. That is, they are not produced and do not cease. They have no defilement, no separation from defilement. They have no decrease and no increase. Therefore, Shariputra, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, no consciousness. There is no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no visible form, no sound, no smell, no taste, no object of touch, no mental phenomenon. There is no eye element and so forth up to no mind element. Up to no element of mental consciousness. There is no ignorance and no cessation of ignorance and so forth up to no aging and death, no cessation of aging and death. Likewise, there is no suffering, no origin, no cessation, and no path. No exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, because there is no attainment, Bodhisattvas rely on and abide in the perfection of wisdom. And because their minds have no obstructions, they have no fear. Utterly beyond error, they attain the final state beyond sorrow. All the Buddhas who reside in the three times by relying upon the perfection of wisdom become manifest and complete Buddhas in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, and complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, equal to the unequal mantra, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering, since it is not false, should be known as the truth. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is proclaimed. Tayata Gate Gate Para Gate Para Samgate Bodhisoha. Shariputra, this is how a bodhisattva, a great being, should train in the profound perfection of wisdom. Then the Blessed One arose from their concentration and said to Superior Shara the Bodhisattva, the great being, well said, O child, the lineage so it is. The profound perfection of wisdom should be practiced exactly as you have taught, and that the devotees will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, the Venerable Shariputra, the Superior Shara the Bodhisattva, the great being, and the entire assembly, as well as worldly beings, gods, humans, demigods, Gandharvas, and others, were filled with admiration and highly praised what had been spoken by the Blessed One. In the holy supreme abode of the Dakinis, possessed of clairvoyance and miraculous power, unwaveringly caring for practitioners as your children, homage to the host of the three places, Dakinis. Through the power of truth of the exalted three-Jew speech, may all on the side of negativity, such as the poor Mars, be stopped. May they become non-existent. May they be pacified. All enemies, obstructors, and hindrances, Shanti Kuriye Soha. The 80,000 types of obstructors pacified, free from adverse, harmful conditions. May all be conducive and perfect auspiciousness. Bring happiness and well-being here right now. Sashi Poki Jushing Mejo Tramri Rablingji Nide Yempadi Sangye Jindu Mikhe Chenen Kepe Solangi, Chola Penche Sangye Tupasho, Chodan Soki Chonama, Janchu Pardon Dani Katsuchi, Dani Chenen Kepe Solangi, Chola Penche Sangye Tupasho, Chodan Soki Chonama, Janchu Pardon Dani Katsuchi, Dani Chenen Kepe Solangi, Chola Penche Sangye Tupasho.
Okay, good evening. How are you guys? Everything's okay? Everything's fine? I hope everyone's okay. How's the weather? It's good? Good. Anyway, it's wonderful for we are able to just read this text. We don't say teach, we just read this text. Okay, you can just say that. It's just very important. Also, it has all the essence of Buddha's teachings. Essence, is correct? Yeah, all the essence of Buddha's teachings here. It's not too long, but the meaning is very long. Therefore, firstly, just I'm not able to explain all them. Also, even I'm able to explain, maybe you have no idea what I'm talking about. It covers all tenets, all views. You know, got a Bhagavat, Bhagavat. Refute the all other tenets view, then talk about the view of the Nagarjuna. In order to that, you need to also know all the tenets, different views. Therefore, I'm not able to. Even I'm able, maybe you have no idea what's going on, just. But you know, we are just to read this is, something benefit for us. Then, I don't know, what did you say? The Lama Zopa was the great master in Tibetan. He's Tibetan, he's a real Tibetan. Then, he studied, all the Satya lineage, Kagyu lineage. Then after he start with the Gelug tradition. It's not Gelug tradition, it's not tradition. The Gelug is just place name. It's a garden. Then they call who live the garden. There's some, issue that the place name, who live the place. There's no Kopen, Kopen Monastery, like that. Then they call that their tradition. It's not really school's name. But it's very great, one time he studied view of the Nagarjuna, especially the view of the Buddha's teaching, the emptiness. He have some doubts. And also he played the Majushree. The Majushree in him just like person to talk. He can get chance like that. And still, he have some doubts, then Majushree says, okay, you need to more create the merit. Then he went to the Wakachuling, Tibet, someplace. He went to that, he doing a retreat to the practice for the mandala. Even he was like the whole. Also that time he think about go to India, maybe go to Nalanda, study more. Then he met one of the teacher. Then he said, if you go to Nalanda, you will become very scholar, but all you students will die. India is very hard. Then he told me maybe better to just stay that Tibetan to, study with the Manjushri, of course, Then he decided he doesn't go to India. Therefore, he didn't go to India, but he studied in Tibetan. Also, he composed so many texts. Translation is what?
Eloquent speech of the interpreted and definitive meaning.
Right. This is just very famous, This the translate for one India master. He know the Sanskrit very good. He translate for the Sanskrit this text. His Holiness asked one time, how this, text, the meaning of the text. He said, even if the person doesn't know who composed the Lama Tsongkhapa, they say this is a composed Nagarjuna. Everyone says, oh yeah, this is Nagarjuna. It's exactly like, the meaning. Also very powerful. But like that, it's very powerful text. Then this is like a small one. Only 51 verses. How many verses? 58 verses, yeah. Therefore, it's not easy to understand. Also, I'm not planning to go to very detailed experience, otherwise make you more confused. I've tried to just cover the meaning of the text. I'm not trying to not jump, otherwise you guys have no idea what's going on. The text doesn't mention that, what's going on. Like that, then you have caution, you can caution also, you guys do we can do also about homework. And read another texts, bring another experience. You will find so many different texts, different experience, we are going to also like homework. Homework makes you a little bit more study. Okay? The firstly we start before, I like to, Lama Tsongkhapa, do you see? Lama Tsongkhapa is here, right? Everyone knows Lama Tsongkhapa. Who is the person to compose this text? The two disciples there. Then we will visualization, a little bit meditation. The Lama Tsongkhapa and your guru, but same aspect from you. And then you visualize for we recite the Mixema. Then we visualize for Lama Tsongkhapa, give for us to the wisdom, like the very strong light hit up for us, like all the Lama Tsongkhapa's wisdom for give us. Okay, visualization from you, Lama Tsongkhapa, or the your gurus, same aspect. We recite for a couple times, Mixema. Within there you think about all the blessings for the Lama Tsongkhapa. When Lama Tsongkhapa get the blessing from the Manjushri, then he got from Manjushri, then he will give us to our wisdom, Karo Sherab. Yeah. Sherab, or Chewa, Sawa, Neva, Dalai Topper, Trichosung Sabro.
So imagine that you receive all kinds of wisdoms, like the great wisdom, the clear wisdom, the swift wisdom, the different kind of wisdoms. So imagine receiving all those kind of wisdoms.
Okay. Then recite with me. Think about the visualization to get the blessing for you, okay? Okay, do you got some wisdom? Maybe some. Also, when, like, especially we study like this context, this is a connection to Lama Tsongkhapa. Also, you can recite the Guru Yoga Lama Tsongkhapa every day when you have time. Then also recite some Misemba. Lama Tsongkhapa is the he has he the compassion Buddha, wisdom Buddha, and powerful Buddha. Avalokiteshvara, Manjushri, Bajarpani. Karo, there's some Chinadiva Ngosara, Kalon.
Like a composite of all these three Buddha families.
Okay? Therefore, we recite that for visualization Lama Tsongkhapa, and we recite for the Miksema. You can recite the Om Pemahu. You can recite also Tari Umara Patana Deo. It's all very good. Especially we are the more connection Lama Tsongkhapa. It's very important to keep our Guru Yoga Lama Tsongkhapa, our daily pray, daily practice. It's a very powerful always. All the different teachers, different traditions have their own Guru Yoga Lama Guru Yoga Lama, Guru Lama Yoga, or Guru Yoga. They are all Guru Yoga Lama Tsongkhapa. Whenever you meditation, when you Guru Yoga, then Lama Tsongkhapa and your own teacher, whoever you have more connection, whatever you think, the same aspect. That's very powerful. In order to understand this text, of course, in Lama Tsongkhapa has to create a lot of merits, of course, for us. But, we don't have much time. Okay? Like that. Then, okay, now I don't know where we can start. Anyway, it has also so many different commentaries. Maybe, do you have any commentaries for English?
I've only found one. That's by Losang Gyatso and Graham Woodhouse.
Who?
Graham Woodhouse is a Geshe, a Western Geshe, and then Losang Gyatso.
Yeah, I don't know who that. Yeah, I think they have so many, maybe, I don't know, they may be translated or not. They have so many different commentaries also, Also they have commentary for His Holiness Dalai Lama. Maybe the English one, maybe not. You can find, check. I'm used as one of the commentary is the one Geshe Lamramba, he's from Tibet. He's from Geshe Monastery, very, very scholar. After 1959, he was Tibetan. He's very scholar, he's very practitioner. I'm follow his commentary. It's a little bit more combined. It's not like that. I looked at His Holiness commentary that it's like just everywhere. All the Nagarjuna, Shandakirti, they all just put together. It's very hard to put together. Okay? Then, I can't tanda tinghelaya shivanaji. And the Tengelesi Nibo, Tande Tengelesi Nibo Chua Lagares, Tengelesi Nibo Chua.
And so, like I mentioned earlier about the essence of eloquent speech is on interpretive and definitive meaning. And that's a very extensive text on different views. And so this text is called the mini, of that text, of that the eloquent speech.
아니 정일레시 님보디나 땅 가서 지금 뭐 시게 따윈도스도 빼면서 메타세고 도시요라서.
So in that text, on the eloquent speech, of the interpretive and definitive meaning, it explains, all these four different views, four different views of the four different schools, in a very great, details.
아니 남중간도 다 쇼거리 보던데 배회 쇼거리 보들 봐시 쇼거 따당 쉽지는 지요 봐시 지요스네.
And so when we, the volume of that scripture, like the Tibetan scripture, there's like long, volumes in scripture like that in that form. And that's, when we count, count one page as the back and forth as one page. And so there's like 180 or 40 of that. So if you, count in the both page, there'll be like twice that.
아니 대사라 자오모 모델 롤섬자를 롤섬.
So many monks in the great monasteries, they even memorize that whole text.
아니 델롤섬이 자다 주제에 나는 넘어서 버리면 되라. 니바트가 그랬어. 로타바.
And so usually, in this, if any monk, are able to memorize that whole, text and, read in front of many other monks without looking at the text, by memory, then they will be rewarded by Lama Zopa Rinpoche.
아니 장고는 뭐지? 나 라마 총가베 단다. 가든 감초이면 인심이 자식 송거였어. 장고는 뭐지?
And His Holiness also says that he usually chants, that text, the whole text, at least once a year, like during the Lama Tsongkhapa day.
아니 내만 간도 되네야 기실라 나니 신간도 다 잡잖아요. 간도 대합식소 때문에 배세서 근데 대장벌에 뭐시피 군대나 배 투녀고 나서 대진에 가까이는 제가 한번 뭐라고 그랬어.
장례식.
And
also here, Geshe with the Geshe Tsulga and Geshe Ngawang Tenley, they all typed, with the computer, they typed, the whole text of this eloquent speech, of the interpretive and definitive meaning, and offered to His Holiness, the Lama. And so the Lama, His Holiness was very pleased with that, and that's why he said Geshe, gets lots of opportunity to see him all the time.
He said, I need one more text, I need one more text, I can go to give that. That deal with the tongue, and the Jirmo should not pay Pegawagi, good souls, and the Taveleshinga. The Tommy actually was on to use Taveleshinga, Leshichambunga.
And so one of the reasons why Lama Tsongkhapa, came in Tibet, born in Tibet, is there was the emanation of Manjushri, and emanated as Lama Tsongkhapa in Tibet was to compose, the five eloquent speech, on the views. And so the essence of eloquent speech is the one of that. And also there's another text, it's the commentary, of the fundamental wisdom by Nagarjuna. And then there's also a commentary, of engaging in the middle way by Chandakirti. And then also there is a text called the Great Special Insight. The special insight part in the Lamrim, composed by Lama Tsongkhapa, and so that's also all about the view on emptiness. And then also there is a short Lamrim, where he explains about the view. So those are the five texts, the five eloquent speech on the view. And also like that he has explained a lot about Tantra, on of the all four classes of Tantras.
아니 단다 지르모치가 다 지르모지로지 시당하는 것도 자당 쇼다 다 저도 마제 싱그레게 자당 쇼 말들어 간이 조사디 암도 쇼런 조 어느 때냐 아니 때쇼라 라사라 야한테 로종치네 다 두정으로.
So usually when we study the text of the author, then we should also know about the author. So most of you already know who Lama Tsongkhapa is, so we don't have to go into detail about that. But anyway, he was born in Amdo part of Tibet, and then from there he went to the central in Tibet, and that's where he did all his studies.
아니 다지 공건 제가 빼 뭐버던 제가 만나고 뭐버던 가서 남주 용장도 왕도 하고 해라 반다단다. 라데 물음치 모셔도 왔다는 그때 공부 쭉 나와 말이었어요.
And there are so many the great deeds or activities that Lama Tsongkhapa performed to benefit others, and one of the well-known one is the establishment of the great prayer festival in Lhasa.
아니 단다 조를 모시고 그때 산지 좀 되게 그면 될래야 아니 링아 오제 소치 아니 라데 물음치 뭐 저 대주와 양단다 자갈아야 아니 것도 춤도 되셔야지. 내가 산지 쪄주고 내가 들이죠. 되게 다지가로 되게 제대로 되지 두 말어서.
And so the great prayer festival, started by offering the crown ornament, to Buddha's statue. So before it was just another plain Buddha statue, but then later Lama Tsongkhapa offered the crown ornament on the Buddha statue. So now you see in the Jokhang temple,
the
Buddha's Jokhang temple, you see there. And so that was just a plain Buddha statue like we have in the middle there. But later it was offered, the crown ornament was offered, and then it was transformed into that, like the in-German body form, an in-German body form. So anyway, so that was to resemble the same as Buddha's Buddha's the miracle day, and so where he performed all these miracles to defeat the forters and so forth. So recently there was a fire, in the Jokhang temple. The temple was burned, but I don't think the statue was affected at all. And so the Chinese, they tried very hard. The Chinese government tried very hard, to not leak, the news out, but people knew it anyway. So they also announced to the people saying that if you ever took a video or the recordings or the pictures or the videos of this and send out, you'll be like in prison for the life. So this is one of the most important the thing in Tibet, right? The Jokhang temple is the most important. So if they are not able to guard that, then they will be like disgraced.
아니 밴드에 감습는데 좋은 제약이 지대야 차드네 다 컴바지는 요한데 다 차랑사는 영어 뭐 보여.
So there are so many people from every part of Tibet, go to see, to get blessing, from not just see, but to get blessing from the Jokhang, the Buddha statue in Jokhang temple. And some people, of course, many people they just walk or take a bus or a car and so forth. But there are also some people they make prostration all the way. They prostrate all the way from there, wherever they are coming from, all the way to the Jokhang temple.
와다 들리게 전업체만 당한도 배벨로서 빼 문도 전업체고 되게 돼. 다 전업체고 영화도 다 문도 지켜고 다 망보기 전업 나셔 되게 이제 왔어.
And so it's considered a very, very sacred, holy place, and of course said that you receive a lot of blessings. And so the blessing, of course, depends on your mind also, but and also depends on the object because of being blessed by the holy beings.
Okay, 근데 맞지. 근데 다들 모시면 다 지금 모시게 다들 땡도 받아 송화데 아니 지금 모시 공로 주시 세지 값도 안에 좀 있어라 왔어.
And it is said that when he composed this text in praise of dependent origination, he was about 41 years old.
아니 다 네가 가르나 사지 좀 되들라 저런 게 땡데 소수도 말아반도 땡데 소수 그때 때 말이야. 시당 가서 때와야 보여 봐. 저런 미 야본도 암조 야본도 섭다 야본도 개봐도 전에다 사지 좀 되게 지금 뭐지 사지 좀 또딱 말아봐. 저런 게 땡데 사이 소자 때 소수도 말아반도 우스다 또 봐야 말이야.
So in the title it says independent in praise of dependent origination, right? So does it sound like praising the dependent origination? What does it sound like? It sounds like praising the dependent origination, right? So that's what it sounds like, right? But what it actually means is praising the Buddha for having taught the dependent origination. Wow. So nobody has ever taught that, right? And so he praised Buddha because Buddha taught the dependent origination. That's what it means actually.
Okay, to pitang
But the direct, the word sounds like, praising the dependent origination. You don't have to praise the dependent origination. Dependent origination is what it is, But for somebody who taught about that, it's very great, So you can praise somebody for having taught the dependent origination.
아니 당아도 텐데세도 시다 텐데세가 탄지당아도 드나모와 차상기 대시기 말이지.
So dependent origination, has a different level. You can say different level, like subtle and gross. And so dependent origination is taught in all different tenets, all different all different views, of the 4 different schools of the tenets.
근데 때스 고대원 따치지만 benna 샤라마원도 대와 간지 응마와들 가지고 이뭐 담바마와데 샤라마원도 대와 섬섬 섬리 대섬지 아니 디텔라 때는 슈마인자 아니 텐데레스 텐데로 오코들라 그래서.
So the easiest way to understand of dependent origination is, the easier the level, easiest level of understanding dependent origination is dependent of cause and condition, right? So depending on cause and also is not existing by itself because it depends on cause and condition. So that one is accepted by all the schools who assert, like who accept or assert the true, who accept true existence, who accept the true existence, right? So like the Vaivashika school, Sautantika school, and Chidamartin school, they all accept true existence. So therefore, for them, when it says dependent origination, that means like depending on cause and condition, depending on cause and condition.
아니 오마 라지바세야 되게 아니 차셔라 텐데 쇼하다 텐데살라 그래서.
Then a little bit subtle or higher level, will be like, it's dependent origin because it depends on its parts, depending on its parts. So because of that, so therefore, you can have this thing because of all its parts together. You have this thing. So depending on the parts, and so that's a little bit more difficult to understand. We usually don't think in that way, when we say dependent origination. So that is usually accepted by or asserted by the Savatantika Madhyamika school.
다 오마 탄지원으로 왜만 다 간지 라 도시지 또베 따다마도요 말했는데 또바 따다면서 아니 또베 따버렸더니 쇼마레서 그때를 tra셔서 그래서.
And then the most subtlest one is the view of the Prasangika Madhyamika school. So when they talk about the dependent origination, they talk about the mere level, So it just depends on the mere level. Because of that, there is such and such things. Because of that, it depends on that mere level. Because the mind levels as something, therefore it comes into existence. Without it having level, it will not be there.
Okay. 다들 반도를 믿으러 와. 다들 받으니 다 따와서서 만들어도 뭐 보여서 다 남지 단예자단 되는 거 요래서 와.
So here you go now. You know all about the dependent origination now, right? That's it. You're done. You can leave now.
Okay. 다음에 나타나서 남은 거를 면접과 가야 손도 왔어. 저도 배셔도 어떠나 이담 되었어.
So, but we will not understand just through that, right? So we have to go a little bit more, explanation. And so anyway, so here, how does it start within your text? They say homage. There's Mindo.
There are homage. Ale.
You speaks on the basis of.
Kashi says so as the
Ale, 다들 빈걸 요도다. 간지 니고라야 아니 지선 잠배라 샤타로 송요서 와. 같이도 저 매다게 못.
So anyway, so first, part of this text, is paying homage, where it is paying homage, to Buddha Manjushri.
아니 지선 잠배야다 샤라고일라. 티나네다 지름모지가 가지 오메타웨. 다 장사면 요사다 요나메다 지선 잠배라 샤타로 요래서 와.
So he paid homage, to our Manjushri, because Manjushri is the Buddha, Buddha of wisdom, and the Buddha who embodies the wisdom of all the Buddhas. And also because he learned all the view on the middle way, through Buddha Manjushri. Therefore, he paid homage, to Buddha Manjushri.
아니 내 초주들 때는 남주 만도시는 초주가 때는 빼야될 가르치기 하고 그래서 와.
And so usually you can tell by the part, where you pay homage to, who the composer, the author pays homage to. From that, you can tell what kind of text it is talking about.
아니 아니 가로 아니 되는 가서 되는 섬사요 그래서 저도 권유 왔 되는 섬
So the text, the three different categories or three different baskets of teachings, call it baskets of teachings, or three different container of teachings, and depending on which container of teaching is talking about.
아니 지든 잠배라 찬타나 아니 대주도 응음배 되는 거 고스도요 봐.
And so there's the baskets of teachings on knowledge, and the baskets of teachings on like the rules, the vinayas, and so forth like that. And so here, if it's paid, the homage is paid to like Manjushri, and then it shows that the text is going to be the text on the baskets of teachings on knowledge.
아니 산제다 샤제 선발라 샤도라 세바나 아니 노디 되는 고스도요 봐라.
And then if it's going to be paid homage to like Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, then it will be it will belong to the basket of teachings on discourse.
아니 또 띵게 나와지 도셔 봐라.
And that's the mainly explaining the training of the concentration.
아니 응음배는 또 협게 나와지 도셔 그러지.
And then the knowledge is the wisdom.
아니 탐진 제발라 샤도라나 아니 단다 노디 가론 데베데나 콘도고 이래 또 특별 나와지 도셔 그러지.
And if it pays homage to the omniscience, the great omniscient one, then it usually falls under the baskets of teachings on Vinaya or rules.
그래서 당간도 사지가 송차산티 루르잖아 아니 데네스가 제자스되어나 아니 라와섬 되게 여러was.
And so all the teachings of the Buddha can be combined into these three baskets of teachings. And then these three baskets of teachings, the subject matter of these three baskets of teachings are the three trainings, the training of morality, concentration, and wisdom.
아니 다 냠네스 수루지나 나도 라와섬 얘기야. 될하게요 말was.
And so this, the training, when you practice training, there are not more than three trainings: the training of the morality, concentration, and wisdom.
오케이. 어디지? 다들 지나서 띵이가 되면서 치면 들어와.
So in the text, in the English text, we don't have that page, right? That part of paying the homage.
다 같이 네 나라 가서 지선 잠배라 샤도.
It's different, just say it different.
Oh, say different? What they say? They say
This is the song I told them about.
아니네.
Jawa
자와된 진도 와죠. 쓰지도 못하는데 다들 주제 들어갔어.
Is in that part?
No, typically in the other translations it does have the
Yeah,
sentence
yeah.
homage to either to the youthful
Yeah,
monks,
yeah.
but the one that I reviewed with Aniyoshi to pick just didn't have that one sentence.
Yeah. So I think also it depends. Some like when you recite the text itself, some they recite that part, or some they don't recite that part.
Yeah, usually Tibetan they don't really recite.
Which is the same pretty much.
Yeah.
What?
That's what it says. I bow to you.
Yeah,
What here? Oh,
Yeah. I bow to you.
oh, the conqueror who.
Yeah.
No, so the answer. 전화도
아니 자와된 진도 와가 쓰지도 못하는데.
쓰지도 내가 두세 되게 다 차서로 써야 돼. 대고를 써서 왔다.
알레. 다들 샤도 곧고이나 다 시다 강대다 간로 대치대 시다 고 쿠좀바이바 있어. 아니 자가 노동은 좀 많이 집어서.
So that's not the homage part that we were talking about earlier. That's not it. So of course it is paying homage, So like, yeah, paying homage. You say like, I prostrate to such a Buddha, who taught this teaching on dependent origination like that.
당보도 지선 잠배라 샤도 그러고. 당보도 지선 잠배라 샤도 그랬어.
So the first homage, is the homage. This one here says.
아니 당분 대마다. 단단 남는 거를 매서 그 같아도 지선 잠배라 샤도 그랬어.
So first one, the one we're talking about, paying homage at the beginning, is homage to Menju Gosha.
다 단단히 아니 산지 좀에다가 야잡 또 잡혀 그랬어.
So this one is paying homage to the Buddha, to Buddha Shakyamuni.
오케이. 땅도 년도 진행이다. 강식 세시에서 와연 전화도 말라나면 자와 땡진 조원 용 제시도 못하는데 요새 다 특색이 되어왔어.
So let's read this together, the first verse. He who speaks on the basis of seeing, this makes him a knower and teacher excel. I am Lord to you, O conquerors, you who saw dependent origination and taught it.
다 주는데 가르치고 있어.
So what do you understand from here?
It's easy, right? 다 네가 가르나 강식 제시 정말 예선아 아니 저와 땡진 저와 저 추 강식 있어. 하나 라와도 세바 예스. 도서관 와서 강식 제시 강식 제시 송바 예스. 그러니까 강 세바데 아니 땡진 저와 저 추 그러니까 강식 세바데 ane jala rangwa to somba tende yinza ane kempala name pares.
So he who speaks, he who speaks on the basis of seeing, the seeing seeing dependent origination, right? And so he who speaks on the basis of seeing the dependent origination, this makes him a knower and teacher unexcelled.
그리고 ane tende yinza ane kempala name pares. Tene kempate ane dejala yang ane suzugo nanto shunjo maloba tenji do somwa ane tombala name pares.
And so, because he sees things in that way, as a dependent origination, and therefore he has this knowledge, an unexcelled or inconceivable knowledge, and and then I bow to you, O conquerors, who saw dependent origination and taught it, and so therefore he is an unexcelled teacher.
그래서 자와 땡진 도마가 지시도 받으려네. 땡지기 아니 다 자와 세대고 사지에 송고 요래서 간로. 사지 되게 땡진도 가지고 강 송와데 그런 강 세바데 아니 드잘라 신좀 말로 봐. dombares. dom이 tel라 양이잖아. 다 샤한테기 이센도.
And so to that conqueror, so conqueror is also another name for Buddha, right? Who have conquered all the disturbing emotions. And so to that Buddha who taught this dependent origination, to that Buddha I make prostration or I bow down.
다 강시 있으시도 가르 ዝ바르나 아니 땡주고 때 코나니 ዝ바르에서
So
땡진도 원중화서 되게 고요서
he who speaks on the basis of seeing, what did he see? So he saw the ultimate reality of dependent origination.
Okay. 다들 틀리라고 돼. 간제 코나게 땡데게 또 쇼좀 말로 봐. ዝ바티 아니 드잘라 쇼좀 말로 봐. 템바 땡자고 템발라 나메 바리 템발라 나메 바레스. 어떻게도 틀리라고 돼.
He who saw the things as they are, unmistakably as they are, and then taught, just like that, just like he saw, he taught it also unmistakably. So therefore, he is unexcelled in teacher.
아니 다 내가 되는 산지 좀 내들라 또 뭐 분수 봐. 아니 신된 저 담부수 봐. 아니 뻥아 분수 봐. 틀린 분수 봐. 나 숨마게 와. 아니 싱하게 와 고고 그래서 와.
And so this also shows that Buddha Shakyamuni possesses all these perfections, and having the perfect teachings, being a perfect teacher, and so forth. So all these perfections.
Okay. 저도 다 같이 산지 좀 내들라야. 아니 강시 지시돼야 돼. 또봐 분수 봐. 아니 또 발라나면 봐. 데려가면 또 봐요. 나 그래서 고고 그래서.
And so here, the first one, the basis of seeing, speaks on the basis of seeing, shows that he has this realization, the unmistaken perfection of the realization.
반대 주로가 테만 남된 걸라야 또배 잡아 남시 사제제 제건가 봐. 끊어서 뭐 끊내려라 상살로. 그리고 데려. 원. 테만 잡아 놀라 반셔 봐. 때마다 제 잘났잖아. 테만 남되게 잡아 돼. 뒤성 걸라는 산지 좀 된들라야 분소 봐. 숨 싱하게 근데 또 잡혀. 다들 집어넣어 그랬어.
So also in the compendium of valid cognition, he so Dharmakirti, Dharmakirti, offered homage, to Buddha by saying that. So his next says that you who became a valid person. So shows that he wasn't a valid person from the beginning, but later he became a valid person. So valid person here, is referring to like Buddha, who wasn't a Buddha from beginning, but who became Buddha. So anyway, that line also shows like the three perfections, of the Buddha, and just like that, this one also, shows all those perfections, of the Buddha. So the first one is talking about the perfection of the realization.
아니 대니바는 캔다 좀 라나면서가 돼. 아니 제대로 답부터 봐. 나가 요래스.
And this makes him a knower and a teacher and excelled. So that makes him a perfect teacher. Shows that he's a perfect teacher.
아니 아니 자와 땡진 좀 하시네. 아니 자와 세야 될 때는 아니 뻥아 부터 봐. 아니 사실 좀 되겠다. 진용모 늦어 차선 좀 선발해 사선 그래서 봐.
And then when it says, O conqueror, you who saw dependent origination and taught it, so O conqueror, when it says O conqueror, and so that shows the perfect abandonments. Like conquer means like, a victory over the delusions, right, which he has abandoned completely, right? So that shows the perfect abandonments.
아니 네가 그래서 만나 다 드실에 되어버려서 그러고.
And so he conquered, over the four maras or negative forces.
아니 저도 대학교에 와 가림 봐고서
Do you know the four maras or four negative forces?
아니 텔라 받으시면 지나가 되다 아니 산지존에도 해야 말했어.
And so there's one of them is the Lord of Death, the Lord of Death, the Mara, a Lord of Death Mara, or the negative forces. And so when you overcome that, that means you never die, right? So you live forever. Like so, the Buddha will never die.
Right? 아니 가서 어디는 지나가 들이 좀 말했어. 아니 띵이들 받으시지 라이피들 좀 말했어.
And then also it says the Devaputra, the son of God. It's a negative force that calls son of God or Devaputra, and that is the negative force that hinders in your concentration. So because he have perfected the concentration, so he also overcome that negative force.
가지다데 고등어는 된지기 된지 제사 들을 때 제와나 띵이들 찌가 받 냠바샤네 아니 띵이들 전부서야 먹고만 차는 그랬더니 들에 맞지 봐요 그래서 제고 말했어.
And so if you haven't overcome that negative force of the God of son of the God, then and so the name is not really not referring to Jesus, right? So the name called Devaputra, which means like the son of God, like the worldly God, and so that is usually referring to like the delusions, right? So the distractions, like so that affects your concentration, and so you are not able to concentrate, even though you are able to concentrate on something. But then when you come out of that, then when you try to concentrate on other things, you couldn't do that. So that's because you are affected by that negative force of the Devaputra. And when you overcome that, then you will not be affected. So so whatever kind of thing that you want to concentrate on, you'll be able to concentrate without any hindrances.
오케이. 다 나신게 아니 가서 사실 라면에서 다니죠 그랬더니 다들 라면에 받으시지가는 풍부도 써야 돼 좀 말했어.
And then also it's like it's a negative force called the contaminated aggregates. And so we talk about the residues, liberation with residue and liberation without residue. So the with residue means that you have achieved liberation, but you still have that contaminated body with you, contaminated aggregates. And then liberation without residue is when after you have achieved liberation, then you pass away from this body. You pass away, and then you don't have that contaminated aggregate anymore. So that's the liberation without residue. So because he has achieved liberation without residue, and therefore he has also overcome that negative force of contaminated aggregates.
다는 지금 추탐추 딱 그러고 시제적으로 받으시지가니 유머들이 좀 말해서.
And then also there's called the negative force of the delusions. So negative force of delusion is also actually delusion itself, but anyway, so there's like deluded obstructions and then obstruction to knowledge. So because he has overcome all those obstructions, therefore he's also free from that negative force of the delusions.
아니 다 티텔라 되는 간지 산제 좀들라 푸르소바 싱하게 왔다는데 왔어.
And then from there you can see that he has all these four perfections.
다는 지금 티텔라 되는 산제대 아니 다 잡라나면 봐 똥발라나면 봐 고요래서 와.
And also then from there you can see that he is a perfect or unexcelled refuge.
오케이. 아니 코란 유머가 찾아라 줘서 와야다. 아니 유머에 다 유머를 줘야 탈락하게 되는 건 남이 점주고 pension we what the name was.
And so he's also free from he himself is free from all the delusions. Not only that, but he's also very skilled in freeing others from their delusions.
다 된지가 다 아니 랑 고발에 좀 다 고발 좀 탈락해 와야 다 가르치는 때만 다 되고들 마선 그래서 와.
So because he's not only he is free himself, he has freed himself from the delusions and the samsara, but he's also skilled. He's very skillful in freeing, helping others to be free from their delusions and samsara.
Okay. 아들 다 내가 되네 아니 다 되지되고 가서 나중에 구속 취지돼 대성 걸 구속 취지돼 줄 대한테 생겼던 걸 들어. 슈라.
And so there's from there also shows, there's usually when you compose the text, you have to have the reason why you compose the text, what is the aim, of, so what you want to achieve from that and so forth. So those kind of things. So it shows, all that in this the verse also.
Okay, that is the most of that. Jide Gubajima data marite, Kanjin Tove Tedova, Tenjin to watch, Tandelma Shumone, the Yogueres.
So let's read the verse number 2 together. Whatever degenerations there are in the world, the root of all this is ignorance. The you taught that it is dependent on origination, the seeing of which will undo this ignorance. So this is where the actual text starts from now.
Taju는 Jitela de Carcodusra. Delacana, Tenju Sunsigonet, Tenju Sunsigonet, Tobasset, the Tenero de Tenju Sunsigonet Tobas.
So the real meaning, of this verse, is like, praising, for the way he taught, for the way he taught, not for having taught that, but for the way he taught, how he taught, like the way he taught the dependent origination, right? So here it says, whatever degenerations there are in the world. Like, what do you understand, world?
The Carcodus. Okay?
All of existence.
Huh?
Everything. All of existence.
Okay? Then, everyone?
Everything that exists?
Yes,
Samsara.
I'll go with that. Yes, that's right.
Some kovas.
That Kova than Laura Lighter, that's all in Kova was.
Yes, that's right. It's referring to samsara. Okay, the world here is referring to samsara.
And then Gubachi, but not Koya and the Duma Kaya Padilla.
So it says,
Good, but
whatever
not doing that,
degenerations there are in the world. What is the degeneration?
Tangatamo Sindro Jagater was.
I'm just trying to, get the word.
Okay.
Before we go to the meaning. First you understand the word and then go to the meaning.
Okay? And it's in your pass. Koya Duma Kaya Padilla.
So the degeneration here again is referring to sufferings. Right? So whatever sufferings there are in the samsara or in the world.
Take Kawashan, take our Marite, Kawaja, Moribatation.
So the root of all those sufferings in the world, is ignorance. It says, the root of all these is ignorance.
Tan Jite Gawa Duma Kaya, but the Mevasogana, take our Maribata Dogo, Teda, Kangashin Tome, Tedova, Tenjin to watch also. Then Karo Karen Toa Bayana, Maribadona, Tenden Toana, Tenjin to watch with Ten Toaina, and the Maribata don't know rest, and not tender somewhere else.
And since you taught that it is the dependent origination, the seeing of which will undo this ignorance. So the ignorance is the root of all the degenerations or sufferings in this world, or in the samsara. And how do you overcome that suffering of this of the samsara? Is by is by abandoning or undo. It's by abandoning the ignorance. So if you abandon the ignorance, then you overcome all the sufferings.
Okay? That's it. Then Jiti said on Jiti and Niji Semjanda Gigi Karo, Gigi Semjanda Niji Nikoya, the Ecoch or Resra.
And so when we say the world, usually, the world is more like physical, right? External or physical, external. The place, where you live there. We talk about the content and the containers. The container is the world, the place, right? The contents are the people, beings, the living beings, living creatures who live in the world. So content and the container. So here, when we say world, it's like the container, the place, the environmental place, where we live in.
Treda, and Gigi Garota, Nijin Jitenala Nebe, and Leda, Gigi Semje, Leda Numo Wangashu, Semje Tedas, Nation Soa Shibe, and Jijin Jitente, Tinanga Tenin Jiti, Tinso Tinanga, Ga Nanchi, Duakayo Pates.
So all the degenerations, like all the sufferings and problems that we face in the world. So this world is referring to both in the external environment, the container environment, and the content, beings who live in that environment. And so all the sufferings of the birth, aging, sickness, death, and so forth, that the beings experience, and also any problem there is, like the the disasters that and happening in the world, like the earthquake, storms, and so forth. All these that happen in the world all this comes from the root of all this is the ignorance.
근데 다 간들 아니 내지 sem체나래 내진지 때문에 지지도 간제 잠시에 초강 임바데 용사 가와 용어래 세와이나 아니 말이 받는 용어래 다 말이 받는 메와서도 와이나 아니 딘디 잠시 와가 종로래 했을 때 고도 왔어.
So whether it's the problem in the outside world, or within the inside, of sentient beings, they all come from ignorance. And so all these problems come from ignorance. So once we overcome the ignorance, and then all these problems will be gone.
그래도 다 대자와 말이 대자와 간지도 대자와 말이 대자 다들 말이 봐서 다 무슨 빼면 뭐 당한서 대반 로도 말었어.
And so then he says the root of all this is the ignorance, right? So talking about ignorance, and so should we get into ignorance or not?
야, 다 내가 가서 연락 주인은 거기 따와줘 말이 봐서 해야 돼서 그래서.
And so this ignorance is again referring to the ignorance, of the true of link of dependent origination.
근데 거기 따와 말이 봐 인생인데 드나 뭐 집어래서 거기 따와서는 말이 봐 일라 그래서.
And so that ignorance, right? So ignorance, can be many different kind of level, right? So every not knowing, mere not knowing is the ignorance, but here ignorance is referring to like the root of the samsara. And so all four tenets, all four different schools of thought accept that the root of the samsara, is ignorance.
대치 봐야 맞지. 다들 말이 봐 대한 것도 가만 보여 그래서.
So they all say the ignorance is the root of all, root of samsara. They all accept that. But then, what do they mean? What do they mean by ignorance in each school? Is different again. So there is a difference, in the ignorance, accepted by the lower schools and the higher schools, and so there's of course big differences and problem among that.
가지 다 시라마와도 너대와 안에 샘샘마도 가지 강다라차 대비 대지 되는데 좀 대라 말이 봐 된거 자와 인스라 그래서.
And so ignorance is the same, right? But what ignorance is referring to? So grasping at the things as existing self-sufficiently and substantially, is what's considered as ignorance in the Vaivashika, Sautatiga, and Chidamartin schools.
Okay. 아니 다들 오말 단지불로 샤와이나 대다 라파라파레스로.
So according to the Prasangika Madhyamika school, that is a very gross level of ignorance.
그래서 다 고요자와 집에 도면 말이 봤어야 돼. 아니 단지불로 샤와이나 오마도 라파라파 차는 그래서.
And so the lower ones, the way they explain about ignorance, the way they explain the ignorance in the lower school becomes very gross, a gross level for the higher schools like the Prasangika Madhyamika school.
다 쪼디지 가와도나 샤라마와 노데와 샘섬마 오마라지바 관계가 아니 댄스 세트 뇽모 말했으라 그래서 댄스 뇽모 말했어 뇽모라네 단스 거다가 단스 소자로 와서 아니 댄스가 또 싫어라지고 데마도 댄스 때네
그러고도 요 말아.
데마도 댄스 때 아니 녀도 말했어 히도브레스 그러라 그러was 아니 샤라마와 노데와 샘섬마도 가지 켈레 다 되고라 도도가지 댄스 녀도 뇽모샤도 말했어 대샤마도 인자 아니 단다 고조 라제데비 데이트 잡는 바데 라바데 고조 와이스 샤와레스.
And so in the lower schools like the Vaivashika, Sautatiga, and Siddharmartin school, the minority school, they don't accept that grasping at true existence, because they think things exist truly. So grasping at things exist truly is nothing wrong with that. So grasping at true existence is not considered as delusion.
간들 취지다도 오 제베 통에 말이 봐 샤요 말에서 고도 샤도 말에 때마다도 고도라 봐 샤서 말에서
저기 단주에
취지다도 오 제베 거기다 와줘 말이 봐 샤도 고 말에서.
And so especially grasping at the true existence of the phenomena. So they couldn't find anything grasping at the true existence of phenomena as being the root of cycle existence.
아니 대화는 이제 가시는 취지 단서 캠 말려 봐. 그러다 그러 취지 단서 캠 말려 봐. 가시는 아니 취지 아니 단서 캠나 단서 되니 그래. 니도 뭐도 시름 좀 봐. 어디를 거는 껴려 봐지. 너무 좀 봐.
And so some they don't even accept the grasping at true existence as a delusion, and some they, even though they accept as delusion, but not not as obstruction to knowledge, just obstruction, just as a deluded obstruction, but not as obstruction to knowledge. And so there's a differences in this way, about the ignorance. According to different schools. So if we had studied tenets, about the tenets well, then we will understand the difference of that.
A little bit is not very easy still. Maribasete, any Nazo Kanje, and the Tanchilla meaning, Yichilla meaning the Tangachi logical race, Maribasete. The Sachilang, chicken the Matavan, chicken the Matavan. They cook him Maripasa. They and that time you learn in Kovita what your Maripais. The Chilla meaning, me Chilla meaning the Tanga. Chicken the Matava, chicken the Matavan. What I tell Maripasa, the Nig Maripa Tigal Lesa, lady, any Takaji Telatine, any Lesa, any lady boy and Namchit and Shan, and calling was. When two in the 10 day or junior to the Shagaro.
So in order for it to be the ignorance, it has to be, it has to be grasped on the same object, but in a contradicting way. So one sees as existing from his side, and one sees as not existing from his side. But they're both looking at the same thing. So they both look at the same thing. One sees that thing as existing from his one side, and one sees that thing as not existing from his one side. So for it to be ignorance, it has to be like that. And so because of that ignorance, then we create an action, karma, right? We create a karma, and then the imprint of karma, we live on our consciousness. And then when that imprint of the karma ripens, then we experience the result of that in a form of happiness, suffering, and so forth. And so in the detailed explanation of this text, it will go through all this, all these 12 link of dependent origination. When you talk about the ignorance, which is referring, to the source or the root of cycle existence, right? So the root or the source of cycle existence, is ignorance. So when you talk about that, then it mentions, it talks about the whole 12 link of dependent originations.
Rangun Tripa, Zimbikaji, Danta Maripa, De Mewayana, any Damento, and call a total wood is and the Pade Umachi Japatomro, what to source. Umachi Japatomro. Papa, what in a source.
And so anyway, so if you have the ignorance, that's the like grasping at things existing, from its own side, right? So the self, existing, with the self, and then if you see the things not existing with the self or selflessness, of the things, then you free, yourself, from the cycle existence. So that's what is mentioned. This is what is mentioned in the 400 verses, on the middle way, by Aryadeva.
Patient the Kanja kind la mean it, Rangatini to Parangan something logic, tell a dance like it is. That day, not the Mataban, the Belotla, and the Damet. That only the Belotla, you go, yes.
So, for example, like when you're looking at this cup, you look at the cup and say it's existing from its one side, right? And so you're looking at the cup, and one mind says it's existing from its one side, and then you look at the cup and grasp the cup as existing from its one side. And then there's another mind, which is the opposite mind. It looks at the same cup, and it says it's not existing from its one side. So it doesn't have that grasping of the cup as existing from its one side. And so when we talk about the ignorance, that's how it has to be. It has to be completely contradicting from the wisdom, which sees the things as they are.
데마트베도 다른 것들은 전바데 매바쳐라 샤직심 공화 배가 말했어. 돈이 도시라 그런 거 그랬어.
And so in order to overcome that mind, that ignorance, of grasping at things as existing truly, you can't, do that by meditating on bodhicitta. You have to have the wisdom realizing emptiness.
그래서 너도 깜빡 나기나 고면 도도 집어자로 그랬어.
So it's like, if you have pain in your foot and then you take medicine for your head, it's not going to work.
그래서 남중도 탑다 실험이 그래서 권내가 자기 들어와.
So that's the reason why we need both method and wisdom.
그래서 야 실험 탑 주변에 좀 나대봐야나 야 실험 때문에 양가 좀 고할도 도고 말했어.
And then again, just by the wisdom, you will not be able to free yourself from psychic existence. Without the method, you will not be able to free yourself from psychic existence just with the wisdom.
아니 여러다 좀 받아서 아니 딱가로 딱가로 고발한 냐마샤네야. 딱가요보다 대대기 그래서 아니 대라 아니 다 산지도 주셔서 받도야. 선에 따지나 야랑 공도서 알레 다른 거 줘요 말다스. 마찬 타와 토 산지 도미저 토요 말에서 다 단다 투셔서는 뭐 소사 샤지고 셈고네야. 산지고 그래서 아 가로 오마주비나 요서 다가로 대화나는 대화남정 오래 나와서 특이어서.
And also, it says that the healers and soldiers realizers arhats, when they achieve liberation, they're free from cyclic existence, right? So they have ceased all the suffering. So they have achieved this. It's called the cessation, where they have ceased all the sufferings. And so when you have ceased suffering, then you just absorb in the cessation, in the cessation of having ceased all the sufferings, for eons and eons. And then like it's being in like deep meditation, so you don't have you're engaged in that cessation, and then so like Buddhas and Bodhisattvas will have to wake them up from that meditation on the cessation, of the suffering. It says, oh, you have not achieved enlightenment yet, and so you have to come back and meditate on the method aspect, so on the bodhicitta, great compassion, and so forth, and then through that. Lead them to the state of full enlightenment.
간지 다 눈에 봐서는 다 내가지 오는 지나 다 따와서 찾아는데 만 이제 뭐 자고래 당하도 뭐 보시면 거지 간지 아니 다 땡진 저 송아 대답 빼면서 이게 다 지금 땜반네 땜반 만다봐 어디를 송아 내가 되네 다시 다니 저거 그러더라고.
And so usually we have to go through the explanation on the ignorance and of all these 4 different schools in the detail, but let's not go through that anyway. So when it says you taught that it is the dependent origination, the seeing of which will undo this ignorance. And so here when we talk about the dependent origination, so how things exist through dependent origination, and so that also releases one from the 2 extremes.
아니 단위에 따다와이나 아니 신도도 자동다 간지 야만의 천다 야만의 단단에 되어서 자자.
And so there's the 2 extremes, the extreme of nihilism and eternalism, right? And so according to the Prasangika Madhyamika school, all the lower schools, either they have fallen into the extreme of nihilism or an extreme of the eternalism.
Okay? 간지 땡데가 아니 남자들 시발라 땡네 다시 다자다 돈으로 그래.
And so by understanding the dependent origination, and one will be free from these 2 extremes.
다나싱이 전다 엄마 가시 그 땡데 미진지 담바 저거서 저거서 땡데 바인자 담바 저거서.
And so in the lower schools, they accept.
가시라고.
Some of the lower school accept the true existence, right? True existence, the things exist truly, and then because they say, oh, because it's dependent origination, therefore they exist truly. They give the reason. And the reason that why it exists truly is because they are dependent origination.
아니 공조고 지지가 되는 시험들 때는자 대리 시험자 담바 저거서. 아니 담바 저거 되는데 그 때는 저거래 되고도 어떻게 해서 봐.
And so it says, they say that the things depend, especially the compounded things, right? Compounded, the impermanent or compounded things exist through depending on cause and condition. Therefore, they exist truly. And therefore, so that so dependent origination proves that the things exist truly, and according to their school.
다 엄마 단지에나 땡데 임바인자 아니라면 저거 말이스. 땡데서야 돼. 아니 지가도 간지 라와 많이 봐. 이제라 라레고 와서만다 아니 라운드 저거요 말이야. 손도 당근이 그때인데 거에도 왔어.
And so according to the Prasangika Madhyamika school, it doesn't exist truly, because it exists, through dependent origination. Therefore, it doesn't exist truly. Therefore, it doesn't exist, from its own side.
And
So when it says dependent origination, that means it depends on something, right? Depends on something. Through that, it exists by depending on something. So existing inherently, or from its one side, inherently, that means like it exists without depending on anything, right? So if there is such thing, because there is no such things, that exist, without depending on anything, and therefore there is no inherent existence, there is no existing from its one side. So for example, you say this book, it doesn't exist truly because it is dependent origination. So that it says that it's the king of the reasonings, because there's no better way, to prove that things do not exist, by saying that it's the dependent origination. And so usually it is emptiness is more difficult to understand. Right? So emptiness means empty of existing from its one side. And but when you talk about the dependent origination, it is talking about the emptiness, right? So empty of existence from its one side. But if you say, it doesn't exist truly because it's empty. If you say that, it's not easy to understand. But if you say it doesn't exist truly because it's dependent origination, then it becomes more easier to understand. So rather than saying it is empty because it's empty, it will be better to say because it is dependent origination. So if you say because it's dependent origination, that will prove that it's not existing truly more than by saying it is empty. So what do you get to practice from this? What practice do you get from this? So there are many different ways of learning things, right? So some people, they just learn to know the things, and then doesn't care to apply that to the practice. But you are not here just to learn it, right? You're here to put into practice. So how do you put that into practice? So that's the question for you. What do you understand? How you can practice, put into practice? By reading the first verse. So what do you understand from the first verse, and what do you understand from the second verse?
Yes. Yes, Laura? Not yet.
I guess from the first verse, I understand that it's important to acknowledge the source of the teaching in order to appreciate
Okay.
its essence.
Okay.
And then the second verse is you can practice looking at things that are bothering you as being not truly existing, and then that takes away a little bit of the charge of feeling like it's a really terrible thing.
Okay. Martha? Oh, you got it.
What I got from the first verse was that you
probably shouldn't teach something unless you experience it yourself. So an intellectual understanding is not enough. It has to be an experiential understanding, and that qualifies you to teach, and that's what I should be striving for.
That's good.
And then the second one, it's yet to see everything. I mean, I was looking at the cup and thinking, okay, so how do I actually believe it exists? And then if it doesn't exist in that way, then in what way does it exist? So how does it depend on its parts? How does it depend on causes and conditions? How does it depend on my labeling? How does it exist? So everything, every phenomena, whether it's mental or physical, can I understand it as a dependent arising?
Okay. Then they are going to. Okay, Harold.
For the first one, I would add that it, you know, in addition to, you know, praise and respect, it shows authority. It shows authority.
Okay.
Valid authority. And number two is just real simple one word, the purpose. The better, if you understand reality, how it exists, you will cut through the delusions by ridding yourself of ignorance, and that will allow you to
That's good, yeah.
practice better.
Okay. Jennifer, you have?
Oh, just in the second, all the suffering of the world, both the content and the surrounding, all is created by ignorance, and ignorance can be undone through understanding depending origination.
Okay. Yeah, you look good. You guys look good. 다 네 담보도 가서 네 색 담보도 흘러 가거든요. 산지 좀 된, 딱 간지 산지 좀 된데 고소 다니는 자주 송도 보세. 간지 잡라나 매 봐. 잡니 담바이 받은 갈 때, 되네 고도. 아니 내 네때 고도, 네때 고소 갈때 그죠 여서. 아니 yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so Geshe, let's say he also understands that from the first verse, that is the Buddha, is the perfect refuge, the object of refuge.
Okay, and the 대화대 점으로 보시게 좀 잡샤스 간지 다 또데 간지 산지 좀 된데 다 잡라나 매봐.
And so it's in one of His Holiness the Lama's commentary, on that, it also says that first verse shows that Buddha Shakyamuni, is the unexcelled refuge.
And the 가다가나 산지 좀 되고 고속도 주의도 송도 봤어.
And that is the reason why is because it explains the qualities, the excellent qualities of Buddha's body, speech, and mind.
Okay. 데리러 당가서 고도도로 고고로 왔어. 세단데 고 따라 봐야 되죠. 뭐 무시해 되지. 다 님바들 때문에 간지 아니 나도 잠을 봐 찾아게 싸워도 말이 받으래. 간지 말이 받으면 와서도나 아니 다 저랑 강한테 새로 그래서 되고 와.
And so the second one is, of course, like just like all of you said, that all those problems, the source of all the problem is the ignorance, right? So if you overcome the ignorance, then you overcome all the problems.
너네 가르고 고도 당가도 로조 제거도 거기도 왔어.
And what we understand from this is that we have to study, right? In order to overcome the ignorance, you have to study.
안 다나 지금 소소치 강이라고 가르쳐나 그디나 밀려야 좋아하는 데마다 매든데 밀 갔다 마데스 대 소소치 말이 받게 돼서 되네 거기도 왔어.
And also to understand that whatever happens to us, all the bad things happens to us is not because of others. We always blame to others. Oh, because of you, because of her, because of him, and that we always blame to others. It's not like that. So whatever bad happens to us is because of our own ignorance.
가르에서나 지나 봐줘 찾아는 레디어 그랬어 봐. 다른 게 때문에 rap방으로 시작을 했는데 그건 레디어 그랬어.
So that reason is also because you are related, with all the with everybody, from ours and from the others.
근데 때문에 rap아래서 때문에 rap아.
So there's a gross dependent origination.
그리고 배나 나도 내가 때문에 소선 죽을래야 나다 영화라 인지인데 도도 왔어.
So like you when you hit with your finger to a cup or to any object, you feel the pain in your finger, right? So in order to feel the pain in the finger, you have to touch that object.
그래서 소소 때문에 와셔야 돼서 간지 나한테 때문에 rap아르다래.
And so your pain also depends on that, right? So you are related with that. Your pain, coming from hitting to the cup, depends on the cup, right? So you are related. So that's gross dependent origination.
다음에 소소로 진행을 잡았나 알에 소소로 제가나지 담을 받지 나래 소소로 때려진 대화도 저도 자선 봐줘라 પછી તામે વાસો કો દવાસ
And so all the so when we have other sufferings like the suffering of birth, aging, sickness, death, and so forth, so it all it has also dependent it depends on others also, right? So other cause and conditions, so it depends on cause and conditions. So those are also gross level of dependent origination.
Okay, 다 되지. 다 저러가는 심하지. 대대로다 담바이 땡진 동안 주빌람 체지 땡비 내년에 제다 코도지만 해송도 다 땡리마다 다 저랑기 간지 땡리다 다 물로도 땡방 오늘 남주행이지만나 다 땡땡은 람은 좋다는데 근데 선지 좀 전에 지난 게 땡비네 땡비가 지가로 다 얘네마다 임바 가지는 공축 말 공축을 와서 하는 거로.
And so now let's read that verse number 3. So how can an intelligent person not comprehend that this path of dependent origination is the essential point of your teaching? So in sense, so how can an intelligent person, right? So if it is not intelligent person, then of course, if as long as the person is intelligent, should comprehend that dependent origination is the essential point of his teachings.
간지 제가 뭘로도 댐바지 임바지. 제가 뭐 정보 단자지나 다 선지 좀 된데 댐바 데레 나이 간지 도와요 말해서 봐.
So if you are an intelligent person, you will come to understand that that is the dependent origination is the essential point of Buddha's teaching. And there's no other than that you can find.
저도 때 고도야 된다 고도야.
Right? Yes, that makes sense.
Yes, not. Okay. Now any questions? 다들 마태만 녹음해서 와. 다들 저 당들어.
So we'll stop here until the third verse, and maybe we can discuss more if you have any questions.
간지 네가 간다 사실 좀 저런 거 땡데서 송도 와서 땡데게 땡데서 송도 뭐는 난가 샤샤 담비 삼모 야부 땅이나 오늘 다 돼지 즉 산지 송은 오늘 다 요놈에다 땡데서 되는데 땡고는 하고도 와서 그러고.
And so it says like Buddha has taught dependent origination, right? So there's a point for teaching the dependent origination. So if you are an intelligent person, then you will understand that that's the why Buddha taught. What's the point of having taught the dependent origination.
그래서 다 저런 게 땡데 송서 때문에 전에 답변 문도 야부 다 만나와 있다. 산지 좀 전에 제일 한번 만들고서 네 실고 그러 봐. 야 산지 좀 전에 야또 앞에 고고 그러 봐.
So the point of having taught that dependent origination is very, very important because there's no other way, to free yourself from cyclical existence than by understanding the dependent origination. And so, therefore, because of having taught that, and then you praise to Buddha. So this is also like offering praise to Buddha again.
그래서 고거든. 그래서 내 시행시를 소소 산지 좀 전에 야다가 또 앞에 여러 와. 저한테 소마디 양세 말해서 저는 소소마디 말아버렸는데 어디로 와.
So this is again like I mentioned earlier, right? In praise of dependent origination, but actually it's in praising the Buddha for having taught the dependent origination. And so because you taught dependent origination, therefore we praise. Because you taught dependent origination, therefore you praise. So actually it's all about praising Buddha for having taught the dependent origination.
Okay? Okay, no questions. No questions? Yes.
You said that lower schools define dependent origination based on causes and conditions, depending on cause and conditions, and then you said that then the Vedanta Madhyamaka was dependent on their parts. How can the lower schools not see dependent origination in terms of the parts? That seems not accept that.
자실했던 것이에요. 자실했던 것이죠. 대대 오마 어디 봐겠어 그래서. 나는 그런데도 또 오마 어디 봐 오마데서 가르쳤는데 통과 말했어. 자실했다고 가르친 통과 말했어.
다 그냥 그걸 들고 걸어 손당 거 되게 봤다 시절에는 안에 그때 손당 걸고 그 두진 삼아 된 봤던 거 말이야. 안에 그런 제가 된 거도 뭐 제가 되고 되네다 그 된데서 샤초도 오세고. 간지 손으로 된 봤던 거 말이야.
So they're not taught, they're not thinking in detail.
나도 오늘 때 라고 했다. 그래서 딱 오늘 나도 거기서 개트나 거기서 내가 있어 버렸어.
So yeah, of course, that's the reason why, because usually when you say it depends on cause and condition, it's easy to understand that how it depends. But if you usually don't think about, depends on, your parts, like your body depends on your part, people don't think in that way, That's the reason why it is more difficult to understand And then of course then subtle one is the most difficult, but even that part, that's what the lower higher school says, right? But of course from the lower school they might not accept that.
It just seems obvious that something depends on its parts.
너네 파르나데 파디 코 이거는 임바드 데라 코 자제라 간간 레데로 와서나 코 내가 간가 그다 구som당 도이 말해.
말하다 그저 섬당 못 하도 민도 왔어 버다. 섬당 도라서 같이 고바이라고 다시 뛰어보다 섬당 도라서.
다 가지 가서 되게 단위 쇼밍이나 구섬 섬는 고거 말해. 근데 그 단위 데리고 고가 쇼밍이나 알레 데들면도 데리고 고거 용거로 봐서. 디고 섬진 딱 마뇽이나 그 고거 말해 봐서.
So maybe in your case, because you have heard about so much, then that's why. But for some people who have not heard about that before, we never think in that way.
너 시험도 보나 레라오다 알레 당군에 또 뱉다 받는 건데 받았는데 지기는 예면도 왔다. 대성부터만도 하면 되었어. 대응도 레라오 용도 왔어.
And so then again, also, when you talk about when of course, when you have already been taught about how it depends on the name and level, then of course it makes sense, right? Then you can say, oh yeah, that's right. Why would not anybody not understand that? You feel like that also, But when you haven't heard that before, then saying that, that table depends on the name table. Table depends on the name table. People say, what? It's only name, just the name, the label, only that it only depends on that. Doesn't make sense at all. But when you understand that, and say, oh yeah, that's right, yeah. So why don't people understand that? Becomes like that. So same with it. Same with understanding about depending on the parts is that way. So not everybody thinks in that way.
But surely the in the Vaivashika there was somebody who must have did they not argue with the Madhyamaka about like
너 제가 따와 저기です.
Yes, of course there is. Of course, the Babashka will say, no, your view is wrong. My view is right.
Yeah. 그도 나게 그때 몸이 작을 왔어. 때 몸이 작을 왔어 근데.
Yeah, Babashka, of course they're very against, the South and the Pasangiga Madhyamika school.
그럼 바바 도맥이 비자스러워. 이니.
네, 이니.
그럼 르르드지 주는 아주 대 지나르지. 간지 뜻이 거도 여러 왔어.
So like Vasubandhu, Vasubandhu you have heard about, right? Vasubandhu who composed, what do you call that? What's that? Abhidhamma Kosha?
이니.
Right.
됐어.
Yeah, Abhidhamma, the phenomenology, right? Abhidhamma Kosha. So he's from the lower school, so and his brother, the minority school is considered as the Mahayana school, right? And so he said so many bad things about his brother.
르르드지 주는 아주 대 지나르지.
So like it says Nagarjuna, Nagarjuna is the emanation of a devil, and the brother and my older brother is the follower of that. So like, there's such a bad thing saying like that. So.
But didn't he convert later to
메타데 그 정말 가리가리한 오리진의 고야 tinjaw로.
Yeah, later when he came to understand that, oh yeah, things do exist on level.
어떤 때 몸이 작을이야.
Yeah, at the beginning, when he was in that school, so in that, when he saw that, oh, that's the right school, and that's the right thought, right way, and then that time he said all these bad things, but later then when he saw it, then of course, he didn't mean that way.
Okay.
So the examples are always from the past, but are there contemporary people who now, are Rashikas and other schools, Chula doctrines, or is it just like a step to get into the correct view? Because you can't say the Sakyas are all Chula doctrines, or you can't divide them that way. So who represents these lower schools now?
그래서
Ngema ta dang de pe cham share ge ngone yoras de.
뭐 요새 뭐 요새.
Ngone sura sa sa da pajo 출가도 서 샤워를
다 들도 두면도 단다 디나 데리가 따와 삼등에 단다 좀다 요르스러워. 단다 내대 대원아 요르스러워 삼등.
So usually there's those Theravadins.
Yeah.
So there are many Theravadin followers who still follow those views.
고도나 요르스러워. Any other? Yes.
When you were talking about the cup earlier and how it exists, so the constant conditions, the parts, that makes sense. But when I'm thinking about conceptual designation, and I'm looking at this cup and I'm seeing, okay, the cup needs to be there, this label of a cup needs to be there, and then my mind labeling it.
Yes.
But then it's not that it's there in the cup. It's not like here in my mind. It's like I can't put it physically anywhere. Like all I can say is that it depends on these three things coming together, and that's it. I mean, is that correct? Or
This correct. This other was. Shasaraga 말이 오늘 파잖아. 갑자기 표현돼 내일 내려나 봐. 표현한 것도 지금 따서지 이거지. 너는 바탕이 저래 이거지. 대바 탄이 당하잖아. 하는 건 값소에 샤도 그러면서.
그래도 나랑 좀 보기 싫어.
그러니까 배매워지 가지. 저는 내 코랑은 되게 바깝다 와서마도 코랑은 되게 매워지. 코랑은 예와진다나 저한테 보내 잘 오라는 거. 코랑은 예와지 다면 너는 바빠 너는 바빠 알아줘 샤주까지 랑은 파토베 따서 주봉 샤다고 그랬어.
So yeah, according to the Savatandika Madhyamika school, that's what like you said, it has to be there and it has to be from here also. The cup has to be there and your mind has to label that as a cup. So it has to be two together. But from the Prasangika Madhyamika school, no, doesn't exist anything from there. It's completely from this side. Only completely from your mind, you think that as that, therefore it's there. That's nothing, there's not even an atom of it exists from its one side. And everything is completely labeled by the mind. So that's the highest one. Most difficult.
파 대단한 거는 요 말도 들라고 말다. 되나 가지 요 말이지. 가지.
So there's not even an atom of existence from its one side. So like if you look into the cup, say where's the cup, which is the cup, you can break this, break, and come to the atom of it, and still will not find a cup. So it shows that it's all in your mind. They're labeling that as a cup.
세상도 파 채우다 가지. 파시는 파 도도 파 채는 채우려.
Yeah. So you have to like search for it. Search for it by breaking it into the smallest part of it. And then find where's the cup.
값 가는데 값 내는 것도 라반지 그러 왔어. 내게 값 기도에 나게 왔어. 그래서 나도 값을 어떤데 지금 봤다 샤워다스. 값 뭐는 요 말다. 제가 미국 속단들이 소샤 완주신데 내 값이 마음이 따샤 버렸으나 고 가자 동을. 생에 값 내는 게 라바기는 내 값이도 건도에 저러고. 따뜻 값 가는 내려. 말다 내려 속단 내리더라는 것도 값을 봤다 샤워다. 알레 지금 가지 좀 당해요.
So usually, it says, yeah, this is a cup. You can carry the cup, right? So you can show the cup. It's there in your hand, right? It's there. Yeah? But then which one is the cup? When you really look for it, you can't find it, really. And so where's the cup? So it's just the mind labeling that as a cup. It's the cup.
Okay? But this is, it's not easy. 당한도 배나 강산하고 지 세반은 오만 주면 날라. 남친 넘버 드리고 세와서 지혜로 봉보다 지바레베 봉보다 다데레베 봉보 나라요 대단 봉보를 들으시 세요를.
So usually, when we talk about searching about the person, right? So where's Howard? So which one is Howard? Is it in his body, or is it in his mind? Is it away from his body, or is it within his body, or is it the same as his body? So in a different way of checking. So that's explained more in detail.
담보장들의 걸 간디 레라지가 취재도 좀 세워서. And
so you can find any subject, any object, that you want to search, that which one is easier for you to understand, right? And then once you understand on that, then you can apply that, on other objects.
Okay. Yes.
So the dependent origination is its ultimate truth.
Yeah.
Hello.
So there you go.
던던데
버려서 댄데디.
댄데 던던데 갈라서 나도 반바데 댄데 들어와요. 대신 가로 로도노 차는 것도 왔어.
댄데에서 던던데 버려서 그렇다. 이 댄데는 던던데 잡서 그래.
댄데 나야서 말이야.
댄데 그런 던던데 있어 그 말이야.
캔사다 그 노도라나.
It's difficult to say, right?
아니 너도 강한테 대답을 강한테 하다 말은 말을 왔어. 제가 댄데를 봤어.
So everything that is dependent origination, is ultimate truth.
Well, it's dependent origination and emptiness themselves.
가로.
또 가서 댄데다 동반이 찍고 말해봤어.
댄데 동안 지금 말했어.
No.
So which aspect of dependent origination is emptiness? Is it just
이제 집어래. 그러나 댄데 같은 거 돈을 들고 온다. 돈을 댄데 들고 말했어.
So you come to understand emptiness, by depending on dependent origination, and not understanding dependent origination through emptiness.
So it's the cause for understanding emptiness.
Sorry?
It's the cause for understanding emptiness.
The 동반이 유래.
Tenley 들어.
Tenley.
The Tenley repadres, Tenley Canada, Tenley repade, Tonyo to begin with.
Yeah, the reasoning of dependent origination. Reasoning of dependent origination can be the cause of understanding emptiness. And dependent origination itself is not, cause of understanding emptiness. The reasoning of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got that?
I was going to ask a follow-up question, but you kind of answered it. So I was going to ask next, what is conventional truth?
Yeah.
Karo.
다 저런 게 텐데데 동반이 단단하면 라라나. 그래 또 한다는 군대부터 가르쳐 버렸어요.
그도 들어도 땅으로 라바트데 간지 남진 통화대 미르 대에도 소가 그도 발라 그랬어.
Geshe said he knew you were going there, so that's why he stopped you. And ultimate truth is the way it exists, and then the conventional truth is what we see, the way it appears, how it appears to us. Yeah.
So my question to that was going to be, is conventional truth flawed?
Conventional truth, what?
Is it flawed? Is it based in ignorance?
Oh yeah. that 군대 대한번에 가래다 좀바를 해서 그러다.
좀바를 그래도 좀바. 대다도 딱 문에대. 아니 그래도 딱 문에 많이 돼.
Yeah, conventional truth is usually they say it's the false existence.
Is it like pretending?
가래다 인도도 제대로 해서
당나도 고고 당하는 거 그래 같이.
Yeah, it's kind of pretending, like deceiving, false. That's what
나도 tele는 공고로 그러고.
Yeah, so we got deceived by that.
나도 근저고 추다했더니 된 공고로 그러고.
So by depending on that, by depending on the conventional phenomena, then we get deceived, and we get carried away and thinking that's how it is, and therefore we get deceived and then we circle in existence.
So when all sentient beings are Buddha, will there only be one truth? There won't be conventional truth?
심지차단 산제소는
산제소는 단단하고 맞아 군대면 요 말이었어.
다 군주 덴바스에 간지 남중 가서 나대 하나지 요 말이었어. 구두 쇼라방 가서 나대 요 말이었어. 다니 상에 다니 거는 상에 가서 요 말이었어.
And so then 그런 나게 가나 요만하지 그러지 나기라. 다 나오디도 다 나면 쉬어도 군대 샤워라.
말 근데 딱 나도 매야 돼. 나도 나대 요 말이었어. 근데 산제 코라가 나더라야 판나요 빠지. 근데
군대면 또 너니가.
그도 이제 나요 그랬어.
No, so what appears to us, is the conventional truth, right? And then what it really is, is the ultimate truth. So that's right. So there are things that appears to Buddha also, and then things that how they really are also, same. So to Buddha, both conventional truth and ultimate truth, exist at the same time. But for us, the way it appears to us is different from what it really is. So therefore, how it appears to us is called its false existence. So how it appears to us as sentient being, of course, will be no longer there when everybody becomes Buddha.
아니 산제 코라지 샤지부터는 이제 좀 여러 봤어도 아니 그것도 맞아도 돈이 말아 왔어.
And so, like when we talk about the conventional truth, like the compassion, bodhicitta, loving kindness, all these are conventional truth. It's not emptiness, right? So it's not an ultimate truth. It's a conventional truth. So there is a compassion and bodhicitta and the loving kindness and so forth in Buddha's mind. So those are conventional truth.
Okay. 다 네 주말 호모 여다스 호모 제가 나간다.
So there will be a homework next week, right? Take this down.
Okay. 단다 쇼로가 담보들 부두소방 응가 소요 와 근데 부두소방 응데 가와 비자 가와 셔야 돼. 비자 셔바들라 다 쇼스.
So, we talked about the perfections, right? The perfect teacher, perfect teachings, and so forth, right? And the first verse. So can you find any, other text, which explains about that?
Okay.
Yeah, like perfect teacher, perfect, teaching, the perfect abandonment, we talked about that, right? The perfect the activity, the perfect abandonment, perfect teacher, perfect teachings.
Okay. That's what I'm watching. 저거 니바데 대해서 말이 되다 말이 봐. 눈전당 전담하고 시 말하고 가리가리 임바스 대직다 쇼스.
And then in the second verse where it says the root of all this is ignorance. And so can find the difference of the ignorance according to different schools of thought, different tenets. So how does Vaibhashika explain the ignorance, right, as being the root of cyclicism, and what does the Sautantika explain? What does explain, and what does the Sautantika Madhyamika and Prasangika Madhyamika explain? So. And then the third question, who did Buddha taught? Who did Buddha teach? Who did Buddha teach the dependent origination to?
Okay. And the church over there, Lord the Medical Suris. There's a lot of tempers that they don't know the medical was, Lord the Medical Suris.
And then so then the fourth question is in the verse 3, where it says, so how can an intelligent person, right? So intelligent person. And so here intelligent person, so there must be an unintelligent person, right? So who will be the unintelligent person?
Okay.
Huh?
Read the other texts, okay? You all got it? It's a lot of good than fun. Okay, read the other books, then bring the source, okay? Okay? Okay, then we stop. Everyone try to read more Muksima, then you will get more smart, more interest, more smart, okay? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Page 39. Sashi Bhakti Juxing Meto Kamri Rabling Ji Nide Gempa Sangye Jingdu Mikse Luar Yidu Kunamda Jingla Chuparsum Jesu Lame Kusherabden Jingnam Kadrinle Jojur Gepadam Lo Santembe Tune Sasum Hiru Wei Munzel Tagdu Negurchim Hiram Guratnamandala Kam Niryatayam. From my two collections vast in space that I have amassed from working with the effort of this practice for a great length of time, may I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose minds wisdom eyes. Even if I do not reach the state, may I be held in your loving compassion for all my life's unusually. May I find the best of the complete great and past of the teachings, and may I please all the Buddhas by practicing. Using skillful means drawn by the strong force of compassion, may I clear the darkness from the minds of all beings. With the points of the path as I have discerned them, may I uphold Buddha's teachings for a very long time. With my heart going out with great compassion, in whatever direction the most precious teachings have not yet spread, once spread have declined, may I reveal this treasure of happiness and aid. May the minds of those who wish for liberation be granted bounteous peace, and the Buddhist deeds be nourished for a long time. by even this greater course to enlightenment completed, due to the wondrous virtuous conduct of the Buddhists and their children. May all human and non-human beings who eliminate adversity and make things conducive for practicing the excellent path never be parted in any of their lives from the purest path praised by the Buddhists. In effort to act in accordance with the tenfold Mahayana virtuous practices, may they always be assisted by the mighty ones, and may the oceans of prosperity in that snow mountain encircled land, source of every benefit and joy, may Lord Tenzin Gyatso Chen Reizing remain in life till samsara's end. Page 49. You who uphold the subduous moral way, who serve as the boundless bearer of all, sustaining, preserving, and spreading monumental victorious doctrine, who masterfully accomplishes magnificent prayers honoring the three jewels, savor of myself and others, your disciples, please, please live long. And the dedication prayers on page 57. Through this virtue may I swiftly, having gained Guru Buddha state, place each and every sentient being without exception in that state. Precious supreme Bodhi mind, may it where unborn arise, and where born never decline, but increase forevermore. Big me se wei chen 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 racing, dream again pei wang po jam belyam, gang chen ge pei Urgyen Tsongkhapa, Lo Sangra Pe Shabba Sowa Dim. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, Geshe. Thank you, Damcho. We have tomorrow is Chochul Duchen, the Labab Duchen. In any case, Chochul Duchen. It's Day of Miracles. So we'll have 8 Mayana precepts tomorrow morning. So everyone very welcome to join. It's the one-day set of 8 vows that you take. Tomorrow morning, Geshe will graciously be conferring them at 5:30 a.m. We need to complete that before it starts to get light. And after that, we'll do recitation of the Vajrayana Sutra. It takes about 45 minutes, so we should be done by like 6:45. And then in the evening, we have Medicine Buddha Puja at 7 p.m. Anyone who would like to help with setup, please let me know. We still need people to help with that tomorrow. And then over the weekend, what else is there? I don't know, can't remember everything. So just look at the calendar. If you have any questions, ping me. We do have upcoming for anyone who's interested in taking refuge or lay vows. Geshe will also be conferring those on March 11th, Sunday, March 11th, following class. I'll speak with Geshe about timing, because I think there's a Guru Puja on the day as well. I think so. So we'll just figure that out. So that's it. Before Guru Puja, yeah. $11. 12:15 we do refuge, and then right after the refuge we do the Guru Puja. Okay. Sounds good. Great. Thank you so much. Thank you, Geshe. Thank you, Damcho.